are watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
For the community, by the community.
Good evening. This is Joanne Bauer, and we're here with the show Art Talks for West Hartford Community Television. I'm interviewing some folks this evening today, or at this moment, who are connected with the National Arts Program in Hartford. So, to my left is Nancy Shapiro, who's a marketing specialist with CRT, and they have been connected with this for a number of years. She's going to have much to tell us about the National Arts Program, and she brought with her today a visual artist who has recently, I'm thinking, just become a poet, a published poet, and this is Rare Womack. Welcome. I'm proud to have both of you, and I will be able to talk a bit about the National Arts Program too, because I've been involved with it over, I think, the past 2 years, and again, I will be this year in January. So, Nancy, let's see. Actually, I was noticing that you have a new brochure, and you mentioned to me that it comes from the national organization.
Correct.
And we'll talk a little bit about how the Hartford experience is connected to the national organization. But I just wanted to read a little bit from the brochure where it says, "For the artist in everyone," because that almost seems to me like the motto of the National Arts Program. And then inside there are images, pictures of people at what I would assume to be gallery showings, and then the headline here is "Art Transforms." All artwork is hung in a public space, professionally judged, and awards are presented based on artistic experience. These are opportunities often reserved only for professional artists. So in these shows with the National Arts Program, it's open, it's wide open, right?
Correct.
Let me have you tell us a little bit about the philosophy, actually.
Well, the Community Renewal Team has always been in the forefront of doing things that are of interest to the greater Hartford population. The National Arts Program was created by a gentleman named Leonard Andrews, who believed that everyone should have an opportunity to participate in the arts. And he started a foundation, and it was actually designed for municipalities so that municipal employees and their families could participate in the arts. But Community Renewal Team, being a very large organization, we felt that we could reach the same population of people and give them an opportunity to participate in the arts, even though it's something a bit different from the other things that we do on a regular basis. So 24 years ago, we started participating in the National Arts Program. We've done it a variety of different ways every year. This year it's being held at Capital Community College, which is a lovely venue. There are 2 art galleries on the first floor, and then the remaining art is hung on the 11th floor. We have categories for children as young as 6, and then we have another category for teenagers, and then we have categories for amateurs, intermediates, and professionals. And the beauty of it is that everybody self-declares. We never question people who decide that they are a professional or decide that they are an amateur, even though they may feel, we may feel that they're far more superior than what they're showing themselves as.
Of course, the children are the children.
The children are the children, and the children love to participate in the arts, and it gives them a great feeling. What makes it special is that regardless of who wins, all of the art is hung. Everybody is invited to a reception that we hold toward the end of January. And everyone gets the experience of a real live art show.
I would like to say, first of all, that that in my experience, as an artist and as someone who lives in Hartford, I find that reception to be one of the most brilliant, exciting times because it really brings together the community. You've gotten over hundreds of, what would you say to the reception? Maybe 300 or 400?
We generally have about 500 people
About
that come.
500?
And we extend the invitation to everyone who participates, and we encourage them to bring their families. Whether they win or lose, that's not the point. The point is to just get out there and enjoy the arts. And we feel that we put on a very nice reception. We do a couple of interesting things that are appealing to a lot of people.
It's not only is it reflective of community, both in the art, in the winners, but also in the audience. It's very reflective of community, and I really appreciate that. And then the way that you display the art is so professionally done. Do you want to talk a little bit about how you do display the art?
Well, actually, what we do is we display the art throughout the college, and we categorize each group together. But during the reception, since nobody is actually looking at the actual pieces of art, we create a PowerPoint of the winning pieces, and as the winner's name is called, we post their artwork on for everyone to see. Mm-hmm. And it's really nice. We invite them to come up. We make the presentation, and we have small cash awards for everybody, and. We also have introduced ekphrasis in the last couple of years, and for those of you who don't know what ekphrasis is, it's poetry that is reflective of visual arts. So we've chosen just the winning pieces because obviously there can be so many poems written about all of the art that's created,
right,
but we limit it to just a few so that it makes it special, and also so that people aren't there for hours and hours.
True. So when you say just a few, it's actually 6 or 7, though, isn't it?
Yes. We have poems about the first place winners in each category, plus the best in show.
Okay. Right. And there was something else that I wanted to say about the beauty of your PowerPoint. Well, maybe that will come back to me. Also, there's wonderful food. I love the cookies.
Yeah,
yes,
we always have something to munch on.
So the reception this year will take place when?
It's taking place on January 24th from 1 to 3, and we always pray that there's not going to be snow. But it's so far we've been really, really lucky.
Right, and that's a Saturday?
It's a Saturday afternoon, usually in the dead of winter, and and so far we've been really fortunate to have good weather.
Right. Now, in addition to the poetry, you also oftentimes have had a musician or two.
Yeah,
right?
well, we've done a number of things, but we always invite the youth from the Greater Hartford Academy of the Performing Arts. While people are walking around and admiring the art, they have a jazz quartet that plays. So we're very excited to have them. And we also are very fortunate to have a professional, talented concert pianist who has come the last couple of years and really plays piano beautifully and really graces us with his talent.
Right. Right. It's just a wonderful, well-rounded show. Now, Rare, how did you come to be connected with the National Arts Program? Or with Nancy? Maybe you met Nancy first, I don't know.
I had met Nancy, however, I wasn't fully aware of the art part of it. That was, a pamphlet was given to me by a friend who is also a friend of CRT's. So after reviewing the pamphlet, I found it was a very easy decision to sign up and see where it would take me.
Mm-hmm. When was that? How many years ago?
That was, well, this year it'll be my 3rd year participating.
Your 3rd year participating. Mm-hmm. And am I remembering correctly that you won a prize or honorable mention both years?
Both years I won honorable mention, yes.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And you brought a piece. Which one of it's your
Actually,
photography,
this photograph entitled Uncle Deke, won honorable mention. And the year prior, it was a painting similar to the one shown.
Right, similar to your
yes.
acrylic over here.
Right.
Which is very colorful. I mean, I don't have to point that out to the audience. I'm sure they can see that for themselves. But what I'm struck by is just how different. Of course, this This photograph is very colorful too.
Right.
It's the tulips, right? Which medium did you work in first?
Acrylics.
The acrylics?
I started working with acrylics about, I would say about 15 years ago. And I started because of a condition that I have that caused me a lot of pain. Excuse me. And it took my mind away from what I was dealing with.
So it's sort of
I
a
had
distraction.
Exactly. And it was just within the last few years that I decided to start with the photography. Just something else that I find it interesting. Something I've been doing over the years, but I never took it seriously, thought it would lead to anything professionally, if you know what I mean. And
Right, I think that many artists get into things that way. They're not necessarily thinking about it in terms of earning a living or doing
right, they're
it
more or less
commercially.
hobbies.
Right.
I
starting
consider
it-
them hobbies, and other people think of them differently. You know, well, why aren't you doing this? And why there's so much talent here, and you could be doing this and that. And you don't really think about that kind of thing because it's just fun.
Yes, and do you know what it is for me? It is fun for me too, but it's also a creative outlet. I think that some people have to have a creative outlet. Maybe most people do, and some
very
people
true.
find it in other ways, in knitting or crocheting. That those are two things that my mother and grandmother did, so they first came to mind.
Well, initially for me, like I said, it was therapeutic. It relieved me from the thought of the pain that I was in. And more recently, being a caregiver, it's really hard for me to get out to do other things. So this is something that's not just convenient, but it also keeps me, I don't want to say, it keeps me from,
Trouble.
that's a good word.
Keeps you feeling productive.
Exactly, exactly.
Feeling productive.
Right,
And creative, I would think.
exactly, yes.
So, Rare, I know you, I'm not sure if Nancy knows that you and I are in the Women's Artist Collective also together.
Right.
So we've run into each other, actually had a show
Right.
together this summer at Seabury in Bloomfield. I'm wondering if you want to talk a bit about whether you've taken lessons over the years or how you...
I've had no professional training. I've had no, I'm self-taught,
Self-taught.
basically, in every area. And like I said, growing up, these were always hobbies. My writing, for example, I started writing when I was about 13, 14 years old. And I kept what some people would call journals. Everything that I've written has been about me, so it's more or less autobiographical in a sense. It's either about me or someone close to me. It's always something that's real, nothing fiction. And just recently I decided to select different poems and incorporate them into a book to share. I guess I could say sharing pieces of me with the world.
Well, I can surely relate to that because, as I was saying to you before we started, I also published 2 poetry books this past year. One self-published, which is similar to what you did, and that's my full-length collection. And the other one, a chapbook that Finishing Line Press offered to publish for me while I'd already started publishing the other. So there's a bit of an overlap. But what I wanted to say about the similarity is that my poems are also about my life. So it's very much the same thing. In fact, I had coined the term poemoir because I thought it's
like that.
it's like a memoir
I like that,
in
yes.
poems. And you know what I found is that, and I'm just wondering if it was similar for you, I couldn't think about whether I would be making this public at some point and write about my life. I sort of had to do the poems and then later on just go, what the heck, I'm making it public everyone's going to know more about me than I want them to, but.
And that was a hard decision to make for me. That was actually the hardest decision. I wonder sometimes if maybe it would be too much for some people, or maybe not enough for somebody else, or things that I wrote about, if it would be tasteful to some or not tasteful to others. And you have to kind of get a balance, I guess I could say, and just decide to either go for it or not.
Did you also consider, I definitely considered my family, for example, because some of my poems are written about my early years, written about my parents. Now, my parents are no longer living, but my brothers certainly are, and my sister-in-law over Thanksgiving just asked for the book, so I'm wondering how that's going to go. Was that a consideration for you?
Yes, and the part that's kind of rough for me is you may find 2 or 3 poems that might have a bit of profanity. And there are many people in my family that are quite religious, and I have to let them know in advance, just beware. You may read a word or two that just, doesn't suit your taste, but it's me. I couldn't take away from anything that I wrote.
Right.
So,
what response have you gotten from your family? I'm just curious.
actually,
in that situation.
it's been good. It's been very good.
that's
I've been quite
wonderful.
surprised at comments made in regard to the book, and a lot of my family are just very happy and very proud of what I've done.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
I think sometimes people fear that they're going to be cut off by things, that, or you hear stories about people being disowned because of something they wrote and published. But I also have been very gratified by the responses. I had high school classmates asking to buy the book, and then they would say, "Oh, how much it captured some things about where we grew up too," and it's really been great feedback. Nancy, I want to come back to you for a moment, and just to get some clarity around some dates. Now, what is the last date for entry into the art program?
We're actually encouraging people to they can email me, or they can actually register online now through January 5th. But until we judge the artwork, frankly, we never turn anybody down.
Okay.
So if people are interested, they can just contact me at CRT, email me, nancys@crtct.org,
Right.
or they can log on to the National Arts Foundation website, and you can find a place to and participate in our show.
Oh, that's great. That's really good to know. You said up until the judging. The judging will happen roughly when?
The judging is taking place on January 15th.
January 15th. And then, as you said, let's just repeat the time for the day and time for the reception.
Sure. Well, let me repeat everything.
Yes.
We're taking applications right through January 5th. People will start delivering their art the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January at Capital Community College in their
okay.
first 4 art galleries. If people need special arrangements, we are very accommodating. Then we hang the artwork for the next week, and then it's judged on the 15th, and then the show unofficially opens on the 16th and then runs through February 3rd. And the show is on the 24th, the actual big reception.
The 24th of January. So the show is up for about 3 weeks, roughly?
It is for about 3 weeks, yes.
Maybe we talk a little bit more about the connection to Capital Community College, because I think that is a very interesting, that was a brilliant idea, whoever had that idea.
Well, we're very fortunate to have the president of Capital Community College as a board member at CRT. They also have 2 lovely art galleries that they're very willing to share.
Right.
And they have an art teacher who is very passionate about what he does, and he's thrilled to participate in anything related to the arts. So we're very welcome there, and they love having the artwork hung at the college, which means that it gets to be seen by a lot of people.
Yes,
because part of it's during their intercession, but there are students there all the time looking at it, and we get a lot of compliments.
Right, so the students
People hate to see
have-
it come down.
I would definitely see why, because so many pieces are unusual and interesting, and did I already say that I have been one of the judges for a couple of years, and do you know how hard we struggle with
Absolutely.
trying to get the prize winners, and especially with the children. Oh my goodness, last year we wanted to give awards to all of the kids because their art is just amazing. Haven't you found that?
We've had some wonderful experiences with the arts, and we actually had one of the kids last year. We found out he was autistic, and he was able to really, his only way of expressing himself was through the arts, and we were thrilled that he won one of the honorable mentions last year.
Right.
So.
And do you remember the other young person who I guess had a competing obligation and wasn't there right at the beginning?
That was last year. One of the I think it was one of the younger youths who I think won first place.
Yes.
And I think he had a soccer game or a basketball game, and of course a teenager or any boy would choose their sports over art, and he did. But his parents insisted that he come, and they were thrilled to be there when they finally did arrive, and told him next year you're not having a basketball game.
And he was so overcome with, I don't know exactly what emotion I would say, but
I think he was
really
surprised
proud
at how impressed he was with his accomplishment.
And he was highly accomplished, and I think, didn't he say he was self-taught also? Do you remember that?
Yeah, but he was pretty young, so he has lots of years of practice ahead of him.
Incredibly
He's very talented.
Right, that was very touching, honestly. I talked to him at the end of the reception. Let's see. Tell us a little bit, Nancy, if you know a little bit more about how many national arts programs, how many venues there are around the country.
I actually don't know the number, but they're all over the country. Many of them are in city halls. Many of them are in airports, actually.
Oh, that would be
which is very
cool.
interesting, yes.
Lots of people would see the art.
Yes, well, and that's the idea. The idea is for everyone to have an opportunity to participate and see the arts.
Yes. Actually, that reminds me of something that I'm going to plug. The Women's Artists Collective has an exhibit at Bradley Airport right now. Are you in that, Rare?
Yes, I am.
You are?
Yeah.
What kind of piece do you have in it?
I have acrylics and photography.
Oh, so you have two, or that's not a combined mixed media, is it?
No,
It's
I
more
have
than
about
one?
4 or 5
Oh, you
pieces
do?
there.
Oh,
yes.
how wonderful. I actually have a fiber piece there. Did you help to hang it? To
No, I
hang the
didn't.
show? Have
I
you
wasn't
seen the
able to.
show?
I have not.
I haven't seen it yet either.
Pictures were taken and sent to me. It's, like I said, it's very hard for me to get out a lot of times, but I do plan to go and visit and see it really soon. I'm proud of it.
I think it's very cool too.
Yeah,
it's a different
it is.
venue for me too. So, Rare, I'm wondering from your experience as a participant in the National Arts Program, what might you say to encourage people to consider it, to think about entering this year?
It's very simple. Get the pamphlet, sign up, and do it.
And just do it.
It's just that easy.
Right, because as Nancy said, you don't have to worry about being judged in or not in. Every
Exactly.
piece
Yeah,
gets
it's
hung.
a non-juried show, so every piece
right.
gets hung.
You're
and
not
it really
paying a
looks great.
fee.
Right, and you're not
No,
paying a fee.
you're not paying a
That's
fee.
a big deal because most shows, as we know, require
And
fees.
you get recognition. I mean, it's a win-win.
I know in the past, Nancy, sometimes everyone got a certificate. Is that
Everyone
still
does get
true?
a certificate.
Everyone gets a
And
certificate.
we also hang ribbons on all of the winning pieces, plus we give another ribbon to the artist, so people can see who the winners are.
Right. So the judging is only in relation to the prizes and awards. And as you mentioned, I want to just elaborate a little bit too on our poetry, because this year will be the third year that we've had the poets
Yes.
coming along and writing poetry in response to the artwork. And that the poets have been part of the Free Poets Collective, so we want to give a shout out to them. And the amazing piece about the poetry is that from the day that the judges do the judging and choose the prize winners, the 6 or so prize winners, till the reception when the poets come and perform their pieces, it's about 8 or 9 days. So they have to turn around a poem pretty quickly.
Yeah, everything happens really fast.
Yes, it does. And when we started this 2 years ago with the poets, just talk a little bit about the response you got.
Well, I actually was a little bit nervous because it was something very different and something we had never tried before. And sometimes when you do something different, you worry that it's not going to be received well. But as it happened, it received extremely well, and everybody asked for copies of the winning poems. So last year, what we did is we made copies of all of the poems so that people could take them home with them.
That's exactly what went in and out of my mind earlier in the show. The programs, the actual physical programs that you create, too, are so professional. I mean, those are things that people can really hang on to.
Yes.
Because you've done 2 different programs. The one that has all of the art, has all of the poetry in it, was the edition last year. And then the other one, well, as I remember it, it's got lots of photographs too.
Yeah, we do a little
right?
program for the day of the reception, and we include many of the pieces, not necessarily the winning pieces, but so we have an opportunity for the artwork to be displayed in there as well. And then we also we take the poetry, and we also put that on something that people can take with them.
Right. That everyone, I think all the programs flew out, right? Flew out of the room last year.
We're very fortunate to have an extremely talented designer.
Yes, that's true. It was very extremely well designed and a very, I don't know, just so aesthetically interesting that you want to grab onto the programs. So we're winding down with our time, but I'm wondering if there's any last thing that either one of you want to say about the experience.
What I would like to say is I'd like to encourage everybody to participate. Don't consider yourself not talented enough, because we have all levels of talent, from people who have never created anything before to people who have done years and years of artwork. So I would encourage everybody to participate. Feel free to enter. It's really a good feeling. You'll feel great about what you're doing.
That's right, and I don't think we even stress that it's all media also. I mean,
Yes, it is. We take everything. The only limitation is size. It can't be any larger than 48 inches all around. But we take sculptures, we take crafts, we take mixed media, oil paintings, acrylics, photography. I don't want to leave anything out, but we don't say no to anything.
Right, right. Lots of sculpture and mixed media too,
Yes.
in addition to the more standard paintings and photography. So Nancy, maybe just one more time, tell people how to contact you, or
They can reach me at CRT. My email is nancy.s@crtct.org, and I'm looking in the brochure to see if I can see what they can do is they can register by going to www.nationalartsprogram.org/venues/Hartford, and they can do an online application right then and there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, both of you. Thank you for joining me. And again, this is Art Talks on West Hartford Community Television. I'm Joanne Bauer, and I thank the staff here for helping us create this show.